primary pollutant. But we need to go way forward, as you know, from fossil fuel-based thermal power plant, where we are all these years bothered about particulate matter, sulfur oxides, nitrous oxides. Now we are more bothered about carbon dioxide. The 14% of carbon dioxide is making a bigger phenomena, bigger carbon polluting phenomena than the pollution phenomena what so far we are perceiving out of sulfur oxides and nitrous oxides. Against industry, vehicular transmission also is growing. So whatever pollution we now have from industries, you can weigh the same, even in some urban areas, little more than what we get from industries, from the vehicular movement. So the pollutional scenario, the pollutant characteristics, their interactions are all getting changed. There are two issues in the air quality management. One is source control. The other one is monitoring. In the source control, we are talking about absolute values. Values should be absolute. I must be able to control this much of particulate matter from the emission stack. But in ambient air quality management, do we require to have such an absolute values of achievement? Do we require to meet the absolute values? Won't be the indicative values are sufficient for us, because what we need is to know only trend. With all wind, the micrometeorological, which is rapid changing, volatile, the values of absolute is not going to give any big measure, any big helping hand, even in policy making. So I throw an idea that in control, we need to implement the absolute values. When we talk about ambient air quality monitoring, it would be all right if you can talk about only the trend values, indicative values. Why I said this? Now, I am very happy that we are having new startups. I thank every one of you. And I know that Pi Green Engineering, after their discourse in Poland, now they have a technology which is actually filter-less particulate matter removal. I have another gentleman who converted the soot into ink. So these are all really very big innovations. But do we really have those innovations get implemented in this country? To what extent we really give them encouragement? Are they really get encouraged? I leave this to the platform, to the people to think on it, because once again, before I give this mic to the other panel member, I would like to make one point very stronger. Control is different. The source emission control is different. You address specifically with a different strategy, different methodology. Monitoring is different. You approach that with a different strategy. The law also must be required to be changed so that the monitoring will be more feasible in this country. We are not able to monitor because of the cost. We are not able to purchase the regulatory grade sensors, regulatory grade probes. Why we don't require that much sensible, more costlier probe or sensors, because we need only to know the trend. So this idea I throw to the new startups, because they can take it up in a way that they don't need to work to have that kind of precious value of observation. Instead, they can work on the low-cost, feasible probes and sensors, as it has been used in US or UK, where I travel and get no things. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Nehru Kumar sir. Air pollution has no boundaries. As sir has pointed out, the wind and the meteorological conditions play an important role in deciding the air quality at any place. Sir has also highlighted the source monitoring and source control. I would like to point that under NCAP program, source apportionment studies have been mandated for all the cities so that their action plans can be focused at specific areas where pollution areas are very high. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to move on to our next speaker, uh, Professor Shiva Nagendran, sir, professor from Civil Engineering, IIT Madras, to share his views. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. So good afternoon to all of you. Just to start with, you know that air quality management have four important components. The sources which already indicated. The source will contributing pollution that need to be monitored. So source identification, one component, monitoring is another component. Then once it is pollutions are high, then it is control technology is coming. The other important aspect is the policy. So which source, how to control, how to manage it. So there are four aspects. Now we notice that urban areas particularly, of course there are different pollution aspects in the rural area. In the urban areas, when I started doing my PhD, at that time, the vehicular pollution was 60 to 70%, then industrial pollution is 20%, then the domestic pollution is 10%. Now things have changed because the activities in the urban areas keep changing. And as a result, now we are coming out with a different sources that are contributing. Right now, we are not seeing much sources contributions from the industry side, but there are other sources contributes. Now we started noticing secondary pollutants contribution to the significantly on the air quality in the cities. Now coming to the other aspect, now you look at it, the instrumentation which is being used for measurement of air quality, identifying the air quality, even the standards, we always refer to looking into the westerns and try to see that what changes that can, we need to be adapt and then we need to make it. Now, thanks to the various initiatives of the government, now we are under Atmanirbhar, there is more and more initiatives to come, people to come locally, come out with technology that can be address even global issues. So in this context, so there are a lot of emphasis happening towards the monitoring. So we have seen that there are many technologies that are coming up. The next, we are also noticing there is many aspects that are coming out identifying the sources. But the biggest challenge still is the control aspect is not that we could able to achieve. In particular, we were able to achieve at the source control in the industrial aspect, where the point source when you talk about, whereas in case of an mobile sources or the vehicular emissions, we were looking for more in terms of the emissions controlling from the exhaust emissions control, some technology, then policy interventions. We are noticing that that is another aspect. But we are not having much emphasis or much success in terms of controlling the resuspended dust. Most of the players, if you try to look at it during the peak hour, you are noticing that the dust concentrations will be very high. Now the other important aspect, I just wanted, because I'm working in this area for quite a long, the air pollution, somebody said there is no boundaries. And also you should notice that air pollution is a very location specific. It is not going to be caused unless there is an accidental release, unless there is some significant dust storm or something happens which contributes significant pollution in that particular area. Otherwise, air pollution is a location specific. For example, in this particular convention hall, if you go near to the roadside, you will notice the pollution concentrations are much higher, but as you come inside, you will notice the concentrations are less. Now the question is, how do we address this? Now do we need to monitor the entire city by looking at few locations, and we call the air quality is representation for the entire city, or we look at it a location specific monitoring? For example, do we talk about air quality monitoring for a traffic site? And we try to look at it, what policies, management strategies required to that one. Shall we plan an air quality monitoring for an industrial site? That could be a representation for the industrial site monitoring. And monitoring for the construction site. So I feel that there is a need for monitoring a location specific and identifying a solution in order to address this particular problem. Now coming to the technology aspect, now you look at it, technologies are important for the benefit. Okay, we wanted to have more comfortness. Okay, it is not that the whole society, the community should be more comfortable. We should make sure that we are giving a better air. There's somebody just mentioned about it. That we have to create an environment that is much cleaner, less health impacts. So that is what our idea is. So in that context, what technologies may be beneficial? what is the technology we were thinking about, new innovative ideas. For example, 10 years back, we are not seeing much startups to work on any of these, issues. But I'm very glad to see that there is a good number of startups. They are working in terms of, identifying a technology for the monitoring, even control technologies. But I still would like to see that there are much more, technology required, even industrial pollutions. So maybe there is an emphasis on, because I have noticed that most of the startups pick up only in the low-cost sensor and their related aspects, now providing some new technology for air pollution control, but nobody is talking about source control, where exactly the emissions need to be controlled, because that is one aspect because if you control at source, probably there won't be any pollution. So that is more important. And also it is important us to look at it from the green development. For example, there are a lot of discussions going on. We need to look at it, how do we contain the pollution before spreading it from the different sources. For example, in many of the Western countries, on both the corridors, if they're noticing that there is a not good area for dispersion, pollutants. For example, I just wanted also to bring it to your attention that, many times we construct, making a lot of changes to our urban environment. And as a result, the ventilation aspect, thanks to the recent, changes in the building structure, at least they use underground as a car parking area, even the first level. So that will give you some kind of a ventilation in order to disperse the pollutants. So these are all some changes required, but that requires with a continuous deliberations, community engagement is more important. And that's what I just put my initial thoughts. I feel that the technology mostly currently we are looking at more in terms of monitoring and ambient air pollution control, but there is also need for development of a technology for source control, and also the technology in terms of real-time identification of which sources. For example, right now we are talking about so many gadgets. Right now we are using it. Can we use our phone itself, take some picture and indicate what is the air pollution in that particular area? So this is some new ideas are required so that the cost for spending on this kind of an aspect can be diverted somewhere else, which is more beneficial for the society. I'll stop now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You have highlighted the need for monitoring and control at the sources itself, and also the source apportion studies which are conducted periodically. You have also given avenues to the new startups that they can also work in the area of continuous apportionment of these sources so that the action can be taken right away to control the sources. Thank you, sir. Now, we would like to move on to the startups, because these are the startups which are in the field of air pollution control and management. I would like to just give a brief about the variety of these startups. Some of them are in the low-cost sensors and air quality monitoring, and some of them are in the air pollution control, like reduction of particulate matter or maybe other air pollutants from the ambient air quality and indoor air quality. And some of them are also specialized in DG sets retrofitting for reduction of particulate matter to be in line or to be aligned with the Government of India emission standards. Now, without wasting time, I would like to now start with Shri Prasad Boge, Pi Green Innovations, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I represent Pi Green Innovations, a very young company based out of Pune. Our journey was as simple as this invention actually being developed at the backyard of a small town in Bhusawal. I'm very proud to share with everyone that this Indian company with Indian components and Indian inventors now enjoy patents in over 35 countries. So something that was developed in a very small town in Maharashtra is a globally approved technology. So we have developed this filterless technology, and rightly as the dignitaries pointed out, the importance of arresting particulate matter emission at source. So our technology is effective, proven, tested at ARI labs several times to reduce air pollution or particulate matter emission from heavy vehicles, diesel gensets for which we have got a type approval. We also have solutions for crematoriums. We have it for industrial boilers. Basically, anywhere where there is an identified source of particulate matter, Pygreen has a solution to offer. One of the biggest achievements that we've been able to achieve in this short span is, apart from the victory or the event that we won in Poland, we are also the winners of UNDP's Challenge for Clean Air, World Wildlife Federation. We are the winners of India Clean Air Challenge. Recently, after the type approval, we've also tied up with the market leader in diesel gensets, which is Cummins India. So we are in partnership with Cummins India because every technology, sir, needs the scalability capability. Otherwise, patents can be written, patents can form, they can gather dust if they're not scalable. And also we'll address the point of making it affordable for users to adopt. So we are in partnership with Cummins, and we look forward to resolve all the problems related to pollution or particulate matter emission from source. Thank you so much for having us. I'll be open for any questions in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad Boge, for sharing your views and how your startup is going to move towards air pollution control technologies. Now, I would like to invite Thiru Taraparan Paneer from Chakra Innovation.
Hello, good afternoon all. I am Taraparan and I represent Chakra Innovations Private Limited. We are a young startup and we address particulate matter pollution particular to DG generators. And our startup started in 2015 as young IIT graduates, IIT Delhi graduates. They wanted to address this air pollution quality which is happening in Delhi. So the first target they took was to reduce the PM pollution which is coming from diesel generator, which contributes about 12 to 16% of overall PM pollution in any region. So which is addressable at the point. So we deploy a technology slightly different from Pygreen. We use a catalytic converter, which actually what it does is it actually enables complete combustion of the particulate matter into CO2 exactly. So there is no post-disposal or collection which is required in the system. And also we address hydrocarbon pollution and carbon monoxide pollution which is coming out of diesel generators. And our device is also as Pygreen's, our device is also certified by Central Research Labs, and we have approvals from CPCB as well as TNPCB, and we have executed in different sites across pan-India. And the major challenge in this journey over the 5 or 6 years in our tenure, what we face is the acceptance of product in established companies or firms. So what all the organizations or everyone looks for is certain incentive for adapting such an innovative technology or reducing or contributing, giving back to the environment. So if government or TNPCB can incentivize these organizations by adopting these technologies, our market will be much better, and adaptability or startups coming up, new startups coming up in this particular domain would be far better. Incentivize in terms of leveraging or giving some certain financial incentives to the organization, that would help in a greater part. And our future outlook is to, as rightly said, there is PM emission which is coming out of commercial and domestic vehicle, which is also there, which also contributes to a larger extent. Our future vision is to develop it's already in design stage, it's market ready product, to control commercial vehicle PM, particulate matter pollution, as well as we have also developed dual filter kit with the new PNG gas pipelines which is coming up in the industrial areas to reduce particulate matter pollution and also give a cleaner fuel at the source itself. This is the new developments which we are working on. So certainly a startup like us definitely needs a lot of encouragement from the government side as well as from the financial institution side to do and invest in such R&Ds and come up with new products which can cater to future pollution problems and also reduce pollution particulate matters or any pollutants at the source itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Taraparan. He has highlighted the retrofitting of pollution control technologies in DG sets. He has also mentioned his technologies in PNG for emission control. And he has also given uh, an idea to support the startups through financial institutions and the government policies and schemes. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to move on to our next panelist, Sri Satish Swaminathan from Khatru Foundation, IIT Madras.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. So I was actually wondering what to speak about, but all the esteemed panelists on my left have rightly pointed out where the problem is and what is it the problem that we need to solve. So I want to start off with a question or a series of questions. If I ask you which is the most polluted city in the country, how easy is it to determine? Quickly, off the top of our heads, we can name a city. Great. If I ask you which is the most polluted locality in your city, how quickly can you tell me? Again, okay. So the next question, if I ask you what is the air quality right outside your house, can you tell me? Or what if I asked you, daily you commute from your house to wherever you're working, how much are you exposed on a daily basis? All these questions have not been addressed. And one of the major reasons is the lack of infrastructure in terms of monitoring. Are we monitoring at this high resolution? So as sir pointed out really well, since 2010 or 2015, we've been starting to monitor at a very high temporal resolution. But what about space? Air quality is something that varies drastically. As Professor Shivanagendra pointed out, the air quality outside this campus would be extremely different from what is inside here. And what is outside Trade Center would be entirely different from what is at the parking lot. So air quality is something that's extremely dynamic. And how do you capture this? You can say, okay, I'm going to deploy, say, low-cost sensors and distribute it across the city. How many low-cost sensors will you use? As long as they are static, can 1,000 devices cover your city? Can 2,000 devices cover your city? Can 3,000 devices, 300,000, whatever it is, can they cover your city with a very high spatial resolution? It's a very huge number. But what if I told you that these devices can be fit on a mobile vehicle? So let's say I fix it on a vehicle, and wherever these vehicles go around, they start capturing air quality. Chennai has around 80,000 auto rickshaws. So if I take even a fraction of those auto rickshaws, and these auto rickshaws have a very high penetration, they go to every nook and cranny of the city. So if I say I deploy these low-cost sensors on vehicles, can I capture a larger spatial range? That is what we are working on. So we work on data science and IoT for hyperlocal air quality assessments, where we are building applications using this mobile monitoring technologies, where these low-cost IoT devices are fixed on top of vehicles. And as these vehicles travel, they collect data and they send data to a cloud server, geotag data to a cloud server. And think about it. Let's say I have 300, 400 auto rickshaws running around in the city. Over a period of a few months, we can collect enough data to capture the entire city at very high spatial resolution. So there have been case studies that we've done earlier where we've tried to capture the data in Ambattur and around IIT Madras campus itself. So one of the very interesting observations that we've noticed was, I'm not sure how many of you are from Chennai, but Madhya Kailash is, the entrance to IIT Madras is at Madhya Kailash, close to Madhya Kailash. This was sometime in 2016. We observed that the temperature at Madhya Kailash was 2 degrees higher than what was the temperature inside IIT Madras campus. So this is just in terms of temperature. Now think of air quality. So our approach is that we use low-cost sensors. Obviously, one of the major issues with low-cost sensors is that their fidelity is very low. You cannot say that, so if they give you one reading, can you really rely on that value? Is something that is that has to be tested and has to be validated. But as Professor was talking about it, do you really need absolute data? If I told you the air quality here, the PM 2.5 concentration here is 55.65 micrograms per meter cube. Does it make any sense? What if I told you that the room next door has 1.5x more PM 2.5 concentration than here? Isn't that more useful for us? And that's precisely what we want to work on. We want to give relative accuracy, or we want to focus on relative accuracy when compared to absolute accuracy. And we want to give this information out to the public. So some of the applications that we are trying to build is in terms of finding the cleanest route. So we have three broad objectives. The first one of them is to build a pan-India, hyper-local, multi-parameter map. Multi-parameter in terms of, it could be also in terms of air quality, it could be in terms of road condition, it could be in terms of UV light, or any other parameter, for instance. The second objective is for us to obtain an exposure value for each and every individual citizen. Now, I know it's going to be extremely difficult. How would you do that? So unless I give each one of you a personal exposure monitor, can I really identify an exposure for you? It's very difficult. But what if I told you, you give me your location. So let's say you tell me, hey, I spend 8 hours in my house, which is in this area. I spend 4 hours commuting by bus, or by my car, or by my motorbike. I spend another 6 hours at work, and spend another 5 hours somewhere else. If I have this hyper-local air quality map for the entire city or the entire country, I can pinpoint, I can just aggregate what you're exposed to on a daily level. The third application that we are trying to build is to get specific solutions based on these two insights. So once I have associated, let's say once we've associated an exposure to each and every individual citizen, can we try to find interventions, specific interventions? So let's say some people with very high exposure have a risk of some respiratory issue. Can we point them out and say, hey, these people need to be made aware, or some specific interventions need to be applied to these specific individuals? So that's precisely what we are trying to do with respect to our company. It's not yet a company. We are still in the project mode, but we hope to incorporate soon, and we would really appreciate inputs, feedback, suggestions, and a lot of collaboration. So one of the ways we want to do this mobile monitoring is by, so we have this mirror design where the devices are all fit on the back side of a mirror. And now, if people are able to carry it on their vehicles, if it becomes a part of their vehicles, so it starts collecting data, and wherever you go, you start collecting data and enrich the monitoring paradigm. So with that, I'd like to close. Thank you. If there are any questions.
Thank you, Sri Satish Swaminathan, for sharing your thoughts on the moving on from the conventional way of monitoring to the modern way of, new way of monitoring using technology and geospatial services. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to move on to our next speaker and startup, Messrs. Devik Earth Private Limited, Mrs. Bhumika Krishnan.
Thank you, Mr. Subramaniam. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bhuma Krishnan. I head operations for Devik Earth Private Limited. We are based out of Bangalore. We are a green tech company with over 14 years of R&D in air pollution mitigation equipment. So our technology solution, our flagship product is Pure Skies, and it is actually an innovation and invention done by a very renowned, world-renowned cardiologist, Dr. Srikant Sola. And we have been incorporated for over 4 years now. And our chief technology is pulsed radio wave technology, and we help reduce ambient air pollution. So our main use cases are in manufacturing industries, chemical industries, mining companies, and agrotech industries, and also in city-wide deployments. So we have had, our chief focus is of course on the lethal pollution causing particles PM2.5 and PM10, while we have been known to have an impact on SO2 and SOx, NOx and VOCs, but our chief focus is on reducing PM2.5 and PM10 particles in the ambient air. We have had I would like to say that we have had a very good success curve in all the areas that we have deployed currently. So we are present in, cement industries, steel industries, mining companies like Vedanta Mines, and in BHP Billiton, We have actually participated in very reputed studies conducted by IIT Kanpur, and our device has proved itself very well. And our main goal, I would say, is to save millions of lives from air pollution by just destroying air pollution. So we are going about it with, and we are looking forward to enhanced applications coming from our R&D labs in the near future. So like wearables and many other very interesting devices with enhanced features. So we look forward to all that in coming times. But in the meanwhile, we hope that you will support us and help us to deploy our units in many more areas, thereby help reduce this air pollution, which is actually the most dangerous of enemies that is present today in terms of climate change or respiratory ailments or any other lethal ailments can be attributed to air pollution actually, if you go down to see it. So thank you very much for hearing me out.
Thank you, Mrs. Bhuma Krishna. I am also interested to know how your pulse radio wave technology is going to reduce the PM emissions, but we will not take questions right now. We will take up the questions once all the panelists complete or share their views. Now I would like to move on to the next startup, Dr. Avkash Kumar from Sustainable Approach in Green Environment, to share his views.
Hello everyone and good afternoon. I had my bachelor background with mathematics, and I came into IIT Mumbai for studying environmental science engineering. Then I was very raw, and in beginning semester I was given a seminar topic for vehicular pollution modeling. So being that time I was taught water treatment. So there was process that we have to collect the water, we have to treat it and discharge it. So I thought similar will be happen in air pollution also. So by preparing the draft of seminar report, I prepared that some paragraph that air will be collected and it will be treated and it will discharged to the atmospheric environment. Then during the review, I got the comment from the colleague, and this is an internal meeting with the professors. Okay, this is not done generally. ऐसा कहीं होता नहीं है. Then then I removed the paragraph, and then I went with the seminar. I did it and I got the whatever that. Then what happened, after 2 years I had to select my PhD topic. Then my professor, Professor Rasmi S. Patil, she is no more during COVID. So means I suggested some topics. She said come up with the topics. I will select, we'll discuss, and we'll go with the PhD topic. Then I thought I put one topic, that ambient air pollution cleaning devices. So she suggested, Avkash, this is not PhD topic. This is your interest. I respect this, but you do parallelly. This is because your interest, but select some other topic for PhD. And during PhD, I studied for industrial region, urban region, to understand how air pollution problems are there, and how we are predicting, and how our policy are interpreting it. So during PhD, I did, like sir said, what is the representation of air quality in the city? Like already Srinivasan sir already explained that. So I will not talk about that. And also he has talked about air quality forecasting. During my PhD, I took this topic as a personal interest. I put a chapter on this. We use some kind of forecasting, meteorological forecasting model, daily basis, hourly basis basically, and we kept one assumption that we are assuming that emission will remain same. Based on that, of course, there is a future scope to elaborate the emission in a multi-level parameter for predicting air quality that can be enhanced in that protocol. And we can address the air quality level, and it can be related with the policy for implementing at the ground level. Secondly, when we talk about this urban air pollution, it is mainly consist of source of construction activities and source vehicular pollution. So these major sources are the pollution in the urban region. So we should, when we talk about urban region, the industry are more or less they have moved already from the urban city. So our concern is if vehicles are there and construction activity is temporary sources, like any big project is coming, then it has some source of pollution for 3 to 5 years. Once project is done, then air pollution will be less. Now I'm connecting this construction activity with the policy. When these big projects where construction area is more than 20,000 square meter, they go for environmental clearances process. So in this process, they have to prepare EMP and it will be presented to the SCSC committee. So here they go to the presentation and they plan for waste. There are source of pollution. Just I'm talking about like for infra project there will be waste management, waste sources, solid waste sources. There will be water pollution and there will be air pollution. But they say since our project in construction activity only we will have air pollution. In operation phase, there will not be air pollution. Like for water pollution, they will give STP. The waste management, they put some segregation activities and OWC. So now my question is, suppose we have put 500 flats in a project, and there will be minimum 500 parking area. And there are some visiting parking plan based on the planning authority they have to provide. So minimum 500 parking area will be there for cars. So due to this project, the 500 vehicle will be moving on the road. So it will cause the problem. So there is some misinterpretation of the policy or some kind of policy is there. Policy is well and good. I am here with the pollution control board. I am with the maybe from a ministry also. Ministry could take this point. Like SCSC clearing the project and they are saying that proponent is not polluting air pollution due to construction activity once it is in operation phase. And when vehicle moves, there is a vehicular sources from tailpipe, another from the reception of the dust from the roadside. Because road infra is poor in India, it contributes a lot in the ambient air quality, in the concentration of the dust something. So considering all these points we had in my mind, so once I completed my PhD, I came into environmental business, and then since we are graduate of IIT Bombay, we had good access of IIT Bombay, of their resources, their knowledge, their advisory. So we developed ambient air cleaning system. So ambient air cleaning system, what was our idea? That find the spot, that where is the spot for the air pollution, and we collect the air at lower height, because concentration will be more at lower height. And then suck this air, then there is a filtration process, and this filtration process should be filter should be auto cleaned, because manual cleaning will not work. So this was a mind, system should be automatic. So that was put in the side of the machine, and then we had some gaseous pollutant treatment, and then we are discharging this clean air to the atmosphere at certain height. In 2020, before COVID, we had presented our technology and our prototype, actual machine, to the MHRD. It was funded by MHRD, directed by the PMO. And in IIT Delhi, we exhibited our actual product. So it went well. There was some noise issue because we are creating low pressure. So it has been almost solved. And now we are thinking when we are discharging air in ambient, then we have to use this flow rate for some other purpose. So we are trying to put some wind turbines so that we can generate some energy, so that energy consumption can be reduced for these devices. So for this, I am just closing this. And please.
Thank you, Dr. Avkash, for highlighting the monitoring of the emissions during the project phase as well as the operation phase of any project. Especially you have highlighted the need for traffic management and vehicular pollution for new building and infrastructure projects. And also thank you for sharing your company innovations. Now I would like to move on to our next startup, which works, which has developed a road dust collector, and it is one of the important innovations for, because under NCAP program, road dust, removal of road dust or road dust pollution is the major contribution, and all the municipal commissioners or municipalities are required to take the actions to remove the road dust. Now I would like to request Dr. Amit Pasi from Nvitron Smart Systems Private Limited. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for inviting. This is Amit Pasi. So I am represent Nvitron Smart System Private Limited, based in IIT Madras Research Park in Chennai. So what major, as sir rightly mentioned, NCAP also studies are being conducted, and several issues we are facing to meet the standards, health standards for air quality and limiting the climate change, and also to reduce the exposure of pollution to the as a personal level and at also the occupational level. So we came up with some ideas in Nvitron system where where our vision is to develop and design the environmental friendly smart technologies for air quality management that focuses also on the exhaust emissions, vehicular, based on vehicular emissions, industrial emissions, indoor and also outdoor air quality management. So we have 4 products that we developed, and they are also commercial currently. So the one of them is the road dust collector. Road dust collector, we usually now facing an issue of a road dust collector because the bigger machines we cannot take into the small streets, and also they are not able to collect the very wide range of the pollutants or particles on the road also that are we are facing due to resuspension. So we have a technology based on the cyclone separation and plus sweeping mechanism that is used to collect even from these plant leaves and some wood blocks to the as finer as less than 1 micrometer size of particle size on the roads, and it is also very effective in removing, is battery operated, very effective in removing the particles even in the curb side, because most of the machine, sweeping machine we see, they cannot they're not able to clean the particles in the curb areas or in always left over. So it's very effective, and it can be operated very easily operatable machine. And secondly, a second machine we are working on, we also developed is exhaust control system that can be used to, they can be retrofitted with the vehicular exhaust emission tailpipe, and also in the stack chimney, and also with the digisets that can be retrofitted and can be also collect the particles and clean the air. And third technology we have developed is based on the indoor air quality, indoor air purifier. That is a multi-stage purification system that is used to remove the particulate matter even from less than 1 micrometer size to the wider range, and also to the gaseous pollutants from SOx, NOx to the VOCs and the aerosols and viruses in the air. And our final product, the last product, we have developed ambient air purification system. That is also has a very great influence area of 6,000 cubic feet. That can be, they all, our technologies are portable, and that is also based on the multi-stage filtration system that can be used to address particulate, gaseous as well as biological air pollutants. So our old technologies are the easily operatable and easily movable, and there's no any permanent setting. We can move any place. Once this area is clean, we can move to other area. So even in hotspot areas. So yeah, that's about our the products, and we look forward to the ministry and from the support from the government and from the industries. And thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit Pasi from Nvitron, for sharing his technology for controlling road dust, pollution from road dust. Now, I would like to invite the speaker from Messrs. Censure Air Private Limited, Shri Ashwani Giri. They have developed low-cost sensors, so I would like to request to share his views of his innovative ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. I am very delighted to speak in front of such distinguished members from different organizations. And our company Sensurair Private Limited is developing low-cost sensors, and I would like to touch upon three main points with related to low-cost sensors. So first is the indigenization, and most of the low-cost sensors that are available in the market is usually outsourced from or imported from other countries, and those sensors are usually manufactured and calibrated to in their environment. And when it comes to our environment, we don't know how it performs under our our temperature, humidity, as well as our pollution levels are different, and constitution is also different. So when it comes to that, right now in the recent past, we have had many evaluation reports regarding with this, and they are also advised some correction factors which we can use to improve our accuracy. But the final thing is that we need our own sensors from India, to address the supply chain issues as well as the indigenization issues. So we are also come up with optical based PM 2.5 sensors, which is on a prototype stage, which we are looking to commercialize soon. And the second point I would like to highlight upon is the hyperlocal monitoring that Mr. Satish was talking about. So we are also looking to not only using mobile monitoring, but using low-cost sensor along with the continuous ambient air quality monitoring stations. All the stations are providing data. So why not collect it and integrating it with existing modeling solutions like dispersion models or machine learning based models, so that we can have a wider picture of the spatial variation of pollution in the city, and that will give you a more finer information without using a lot of sensors. And my third point would be the calibration. So even if you have low-cost sensors and you are keeping say 100, 200 sensors in your city, so going to each place and calibrating it is itself a huge problem. So we are also looking at calibrating it remotely using our own designing the network setup such that we can use co-location as well as existing mobile monitoring to calibrate it remotely, as well as using mobile based calibration. So these are the three things that we are currently focusing on from our startups, and we hope we can add more value and with respect to air quality management. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Ashwani Giri. He has not only highlighted his innovations, but also emphasized the need for development of indigenous sensors. Now, we will now move on to, we will take a couple of questions from the audience and the delegates. Any questions? If there are no questions now,
Not be a question. If anything you want to
ask.
tell, you just want to discuss, deliberate,
Just, I have a question, sir. How
please.
the technology of from Devik Earth, how this pulse radio wave is going to reduce the particulate matter emissions, how it functions?
Yeah, thank you. So we have an omnidirectional antenna that sends out a pulsed wave at a frequency such as similar to a Wi-Fi frequency. So it creates a temporary dipole on the polluting particles PM 2.5 or 10, and then this gets them to coagulate, and they become heavier and then settle down on the ground, rendering them completely harmless. So that is chiefly the way our device functions. We are a completely certified device. I mean, we are certified for CE, EMI, EMC, and ROHS, and so on and so forth by TUV. So,
Thank you. Thanks for sharing how your technology functions for reducing the air quality, improving the air quality. Now we would like to felicitate our experts and the distinguished delegates with a memento, Now I would like to call Dr. Kannan, Shri Kannan, Member Secretary, Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, to give a memento to Shri Nehru Kumar. Now I request Shri Dr. S. Selvan from TNPCB to felicitate Shri Shivanagendran.
No. I would like to request the representatives from other state pollution control board also to come and receive one memento on behalf of you from your board, on behalf of your board. One memento for one state pollution control board participant. Please come.
Now I request Dr. Selvan to facilitate. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Preeti Singh to facilitate Shri Dhanasekaran from Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board. I request Ms. Monica Chakraborty from Ministry of Environment to felicitate Chakra Innovations, Shri Tarparan Paneer. I request now Tirumati Josephine Sayarani from Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board to felicitate Dr. Satish Swaminathan. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Rema from Ministry of Environment and MOFCC to felicitate Mrs. Bhuma Krishnan from Devik Earth. I request now Dr. Rajamanikam from Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board to felicitate Dr. Avkash Kumar from SAGE. I request Tirumati Nalini from Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board to felicitate Dr. Amit Pasi from Nvitron Technologies. Now, I would like to request Thiru Rajendra Babu from Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board to felicitate Sri Ashwani Giri from Censure Air. So let us give a big round of applause to our dignitaries and experts sitting on the dais. With this now, we will formally ending this. Sorry. Sorry, pardon. I would like to request Dr. Preeti Singh from Ministry of Environment and Forest to felicitate Mr. Prasad Boge from Green Innovations. Now, thank you very much. We would be formally ending this panel discussion. And I would also now request all the representatives of state pollution control boards to come forward to the dais to receive the memento. And very soon we will be having another panel discussion on the issue of financing, and we have the stalls from various bankers, financial institutions. So please stay with us. Member Secretary from Nagaland Pollution Control Board is present here. I request Member Secretary Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board to felicitate with a memento. Thank you, sir. Let us give a big round of applause. Now I request Member Secretary TNPCB to felicitate the representative of Sikkim Pollution Control Board. Now, the representative from Karnataka Pollution Control Board, Dr. Ramesh Nayak, would be felicitated by Member Secretary, Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board. Let us give a big round of applause. Thank you, sir. Any other state pollution control boards? Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Mizoram, Meghalaya? Now we have a representative from Haryana Pollution Control Board. Shri Ujjwal from Haryana Pollution Control Board. We have a pollution control committee from Dadra Nagar Haveli. Ms. Arka Priya would be facilitated by Member Secretary Pollution Control Board, Tamil Nadu. So, have Member Secretary from Himachal Pradesh Pollution Control Board. Let us give a big round of applause. We would like to now request the representative of Central Pollution Control Board to receive the memento by the Member Secretary, Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board. Anyone from CPCB, either regional directorates, Bangalore, Chennai? So I request Ms. Monica to receive a memento on behalf of Central Pollution Control Board. Let us give a big round of applause. Now I request Dr. Amit Love to receive a memento on behalf of Secretary MOFCC. Thank you, sir. Any representative from state pollution control boards? I request them to come forward to the dais. If no, now we would be now thanking all the dignitaries.
We would like to give a memento to our moderator now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now we have a representative from Telangana State Pollution Control Board. I request Kannan sir to felicitate Telangana Pollution Control Board. Let us give a big round of applause. Now we have a representative from Himachal State Pollution Control Board. I request Kannan sir to felicitate with the memento. Let us give a big round of applause. Done. Thank you, sir. Now I would like I thank all the experts and the dignitaries and our new startups to share their views, and they have also shared various ideas of their technologies, what needs to be done by the government as well as the private organizations. Now with this, I formally close the panel discussion. Thank you very much for patient hearing. Thank you. Now I think I request all the participants to stay with us because we have another session on a discussion on panel discussion on financial institutions funding these startups on environment, air pollution, waste management. So Dr. Amit will be moderating the session. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. We have arrived to the last panel of the expo, which is essential and support system for the startups. India is the third large startup ecosystem in the world after United States and China. According to Economic Survey, the number of newly recognized startups have increased to over 14,000 in 21-22 from only 733 in 2016 to 17. The famous Lebanese-American essayist Nazim Nicholas Taleb calls entrepreneurship as a risky and heroic activity necessary for growth or even the mere survival of economy in his book Anti-Fragile. He states that there is no such thing as failed entrepreneur or failed scientific researchers. Markets are increasingly becoming hyper-competitive and customers have become unforgiving, makes it even more critical for emerging and growth-focused small business and startups to sustain. It is essential that financial institutions support in medium and small-scale units of sustainable products manufacturers who work to replace plastic and non-biodegradable in our daily life products. This led us to the focus on the topic, the role of financial institution in the development of eco-alternative to single-use plastic and innovative approaches in plastic waste management and air quality management. Let us walk through the introduction of our panel members. I would kindly invite our panel members to take up the stage to the chair. We feel honored to welcome Thiru Shivaraja Ramanathan, Mission Director and first Chief Executive Officer of Tamil Nadu Startup and Innovation Mission. As a social entrepreneur, he is in the field for 25 years, meticulously building the community platform for startups and being the support for budding entrepreneur. We are happy to have you here, sir. I welcome, sir. Thiru Sriram Srinivasan, Chief Project Director of Project Management Unit of Tamil Nadu Green Climate Company. Needless to say, his eminence in supporting the startups is widely known, and the accomplishment towards sustainable future is inviolable. Welcome, sir. We have Dr. Ramakrishnan, Deputy Director from Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Scale, Government of India. He has experience working in both large and small industrial establishment in the field of entrepreneurship training, managerial training and consultancy, quality upgradation, cluster development, lean management. We are pleased to have you here, sir. I invite our distinguished expert members to occupy their panel chair. Let us turn towards our panelists. We have Sri Vishweshwaran, General Manager, Union Bank of India, formerly serving Indian Air Force and has acted as MD and CEO for Union Bank of India, London branch. Having 25 years of banking experience with demonstrated history of working in fields of strategy, business planning, credit analysis, and now as zonal head heading Tamil Nadu State. I welcome Mr. Binil Matthew, Senior Investment Specialist from Invest India. We also have Thiru Anburaj, Deputy General Manager from Small Industrial Development Bank of India. Welcome, sir. We have Thiru Shams Tabrez, Deputy General Manager in State Bank of India with rich experience in corporate credit and international banking business. He has been branch manager in various branches of SBI, joined SBI SPO in 2000, having experience of more than 18 years. With passion in academics, research, he has been on deputation at State Bank Academy and Apex Training College of SBI for over 5 years as faculty for engaging in research and in giving training in the field of credit, risk, digital, and technologies. We have Thiru Venkata Krishna, Chief General Manager of NABARD. He is presently posted as Chief General Manager of National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, Tamil Nadu. His banking career spans more than 3 decades, and he has worked across India in 7 states. During his career, he has worked in the treasury of NABARD and also as Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NABKisan Finance Limited, a subsidiary of NABARD. Now that we know our panel members, it's time to hand over the panel to our respected moderator, Dr. S. Selwyn, Chief Environment.
Yeah, thank you very much. I actually stole the mic from Dr. Selman. Well, I'm Dr. Amit, Scientist T and Additional Director in the Ministry of Environment and Forest. And of course, as has been mentioned, that we are in the last session. And still, we are really, very excited that so many people are sitting with us. So this panel discussion caters to what is the most important part of this expo as also the conference of startups. That is how we can mobilize financial resources, how we can develop bankable projects from innovations, and how we can develop businesses which can be taken forward and which can help us solve many of the pressing environmental challenges which have been talked about. 2 of them being addressed here is the alternatives to single-use plastic items which have been banned and air quality management. The way we are trying to structure this panel is that we want to finish in no more than an hour. So I would request all our experts here to restrict their comments to a maximum of 8 to 10 minutes so that we can allow some of the startups who have already presented their works during the previous 2 sessions. They can raise their issues and concerns with the many stiff bankers who are present here, and also look at how the Startup India Mission and Invest India can help them out take their projects forward. Okay. So I'm told that we are also joined by an expert, Mr. P.D. Sharma, Deputy General Manager from Canara Bank, Regional Office, South. Mr. Sharma, please. Thank you, sir. So I would like to start our opening comments from experts from Mr. Sivaraja, the Chief Executive Officer of Tamil Nadu Startup and Innovation Mission. Sir, up to you for your opening remarks.
Yes, sir. So thank you for this organizing this eco alternative and that alternative exploration for single-use plastics. So I'll put briefly. Maybe I'm not an expert in this particular domain. So I come from an IT background and an investment background. I currently head the startup mission that is called TANSIM, Tamil Nadu Startup and Innovation Mission. So when it comes to the context of this particular panel discussion, it's about the funding options and opportunities for the environment friendly or green tech, clean tech. So there are so many avenues. So I would like to give a opening remarks in this way. The word startup itself started or came into the dictionary after year 2000. Predominantly, the early stages they used for deep tech or some disruptive technologies, specifically, from the IT industry. Then after some time, different industries everywhere, we applied technology, whether it's agriculture, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education. So every domain, every industry, every vertical, people started applying technology. Now technology is not a standalone IT related or some hardware, software related or electronics related thing. So like that, recently the environment, the problem of, environment or the carbon emission or the global warming, whatever we say. So there are alternative technologies are coming, applied. So when it comes to these technologies, the primary word that we would like to use is innovation. So something new to solve a problem, say an effluent problem, or a a kind of a heavy usage of air conditioning, how to reduce that. So a green building problem. Then alternative to electricity or other fossil fuel used machinery or something like that. So maybe solar energy. So like that, when you introduce a new technology to solve the environment problem, that is also innovation, that is also newness. And if it is scalable, anything new is scalable. So in startup, because I get so many inquiries for funding. We do grants up to 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs. We do grants. We give equity funding from the government. We also co-invest with other funding agencies. So but I used to get a lot of inquiries or requests from these eco-friendly startups. Unfortunately, they are not realizing what kind of work they are doing. Say for example, when you do cloth bags instead of plastic bags, it was an innovation. Few years ago, say 10 years ago, when everyone are using plastics, when somebody came out with a age-old practice of using cloth bags, then that was an innovation. But when hundreds and thousands of companies are into that business, now if you start a cloth-related bags, then that's not an innovation. So that is the difference that you should understand. When the large multinational companies are manufacturing sanitary napkins using something related to plastics kind of material, then somebody came with a eco-friendly alternative, it is biodegradable something. So now hundreds of people are doing that. So we cannot consider something which is 101 initiative as innovation. So that is where I would like to put it very short. You have to think in the lines of innovation. So for that you need to understand what is innovation. That is something new for the first time, or at least you should come in the first 10. Then there should be a small competitive circle. So that is where, and it has to be a scalable business model. So at one side, we are thinking and talking about environment problem, issues and other things. So when it comes to investments, I am not a banker, so we don't lend money. We are equity investors or grants. Grants are given to to develop a prototype or a product, or from idea to research, or idea to product, idea to business model, or idea to commercialization kind of thing. Beyond that, you need equity funding. That is where people like us come. So when it comes to equity funding, it has to be a scalable model. So not necessarily the product has to be disruptive, innovative, but your business model has to be innovative. So I think in a open forum, I may not be in a position to, give you a spectrum of, scope and idea how you could develop a business model. It is so subjective. So I'm always available from the Tamil Nadu state government startup mission 24/7. You can reach out to me personally or to my office. We are willing to discuss on a case-to-case basis and see whether your startup or your idea or your company is scalable, or we can connect to some mentors or incubation centers to make you a scalable business model. So with this, I pause, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I think so the 3 points which you highlighted on what actually innovation connotes, what is a scalable business model, and that the business model by itself also needs to be innovative, and that will help in scaling up, is a good pointer to the startups who are present here. I would request Mr. Srinivasan, the Chief Project Director of Tamil Nadu Green Climate Company, to give his opening remarks, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the panelists here. Good to see Mr. Shivaraja. I'm sure he will have more of information and relevant details to share, since we are talking about the startup infrastructure and ecosystem and how the lenders can chip in and all that. But as I was just hinting in the previous session, earlier, TNGCC is a not-for-profit Section 8 company again, just like TANSIM. It's a subsidiary, 100% subsidiary of Government of Tamil Nadu. But with regard to now this startup conference, startups, facilitating them, I refer to the point that we are doing the kind of a matchmaking arrangement. We are tabulating the entire startups that are coming up, that are already registered with us, not only through the directory that TNPCB has come up with, even otherwise, and then look for potential buyers. But when we talk about the bankers here, I had just noted down some of the points. Some time ago, I was called to speak on a conference that was on sustainable habitat, where the National Housing Bank, they have partnered with the AFD. AFD is the French arm of Government of France, who do their global support and all that in the environment climate change arena. So where they have come up with some kind of an innovative support that they could possibly do not only to the consumers but also to the real estate people. So that kind of arrangement could be seen for the eco-alternate based startups as well. That is one idea that struck my mind. And I was thinking on a larger point in the morning session, we did not get enough of time to kind of make a request to the MOFC, EFCC, as well as the state level environment, climate change departments and the pollution control boards to set up a regional and a central research and development center for eco-alternates, which could give out some kind of a certification and an authenticity for any given product, or which is developed through a mechanism, through a nature-based solution and a nature-based product. So there, the job of the lender becomes easier if they have some kind of, this is like a CRISIL rating, what we give. So some kind of an equivalence could be brought out if this setup is institutionalized at the national level and given a validity. So, because talking about just reduced interest rates and all is a very normal story, what everyone can say. Also, I was thinking about this sustainable financing. Microfinancing is most important, which we all know, especially for this sector, as for eco-alternates. That could be seen as a major game changer. But also something called the sustainable financing. How? Because the financing need not be even if it is on the capital or even if it is on other spheres of investment, it need not be on one go. There could be a phased support system that could be developed, especially for the startups that are based on eco-alternates. And similarly, the sustainable financing should also support in terms of the research that is associated with the kind of product and its sustainability, basically, like what Mr. Shivaraja also was referring to in terms of, and I said in the morning as well, the scalability issues that we confront, especially when it comes to this sector. And so the major idea that should be taken into mind, imbibed into mind by even the lenders is this, that this also has a service quotient to it. It is not purely a business that we are talking about when we talk about the eco-alternate products. So I think keeping all this in mind, and TNGCC's role, not only the matchmaking, we are also doing a compilation of best practices, especially with a focus on these eco-alternate products across the country, and majorly in Tamil Nadu. So this will also be disseminated. This will be shared with our sisterly government organizations from other states, as well as we are a new company. We will have our website up and live soon. So on the website, it will be, these information would be posted. So this best practices, which would be for everyone to see, because that will also have again an authenticity coming from the government of Tamil Nadu level, and for others to emulate, for also the bankers and institutions to take note of it, to see how far it is effective and valid. So that makes your job easier in terms of assessing the potential of the product and the company. I think with that, I will close my opening remarks. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. There were some good examples which you have given regarding the linkage between NHB and AFB. I think so. We don't have officers of Department of Economic Affairs, but of course that can always be taken up for such arrangements. And also the suggestion on having some kind of a certification to alternatives, which can provide some method of how sound alternate or the technical proposal is. With that, I would request Dr. V. Ramakrishna, Deputy Director from the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Government of India, to talk something about the schemes which are available in MSME for supporting these units.
Thank you, sir. So, I would like to give you some details about the schemes which the Government of India through the Ministry of MSME is implementing for the startups. The first and foremost is the Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program, PMEGP, through which any startup can get a loan up to 50 lakhs of rupees, which is a manufacturing sector. And if it is a business sector, they can get up to 20 lakhs rupees, out of which maximum of 35% will be given as a subsidy, depending on the category of the entrepreneur. In the urban area, anybody will get a minimum of 15%, and it will go up to 35% for a SC/ST entrepreneur or hill station, border areas like that. And after getting this loan along with subsidy, if they want to scale up their projects for a second time, they can again get a loan up to 1 crore of project cost with a subsidy of 15% and a special category 20% subsidy. So this is one of the flagship schemes of Government of India, which is going on well in all the districts all over India. So any startup, they can avail this project, this scheme. And along with this, you can also dovetail another scheme, that is CGT-MSC, Credit Guaranteed Trust for Micro Small Enterprises. So which again gives some leverage of not giving the collateral security. If you are not able to give the collateral security, then this CGT MSC will stand as a guarantor for your loan up to 75% of the loan which you are taking. And the bankers also will be happy to associate with this scheme. And apart from this, there are various other schemes of Ministry of MSME which gives financial support for incubation. Suppose if you are into a R&D, if you want to develop a new project, Government of India is giving up to 15 lakh rupees as grant. It's not a loan, it's a grant. So you can get up to 15 lakh per idea if you want to develop your idea into a prototype. Then once you develop a successful prototype, then if you want to develop that prototype into a workable or saleable model, then again Government of India is giving grant up to 40 lakh rupees for design and development of your prototype. And this scheme also you can avail. And then once you develop your idea and you design your product, then you go for patent registration. Then again, the entire cost of your patent registration is reimbursed by Government of India. Up to 5 lakh rupees, you can go for patent registration for foreign patents, domestic patents, trademark, design registration, whatever may be under the patent registration. Then once you develop your product and then you start your manufacturing industry, then again to develop your unit, we have a host of schemes which is called lean manufacturing and zero defect and zero effect. Under these schemes, again you can get up to 36 lakhs rupees per unit for per cluster of 10 units for taking up the implementation of lean concepts in your company. And then for going into zero defect and zero effect concept, you get up to 90,000 rupees support from Government of India. So apart from this, we have a cluster development program where 20 of micro small enterprises can come together and submit a project of worth maximum 30 crore rupees for infrastructure development of the common facilities which you require, like testing, common manufacturing, effluent treatment plant, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the schemes which Government of India is implementing. The details of all these schemes and application forms, everything is available on our website, msme.gov.in. You can go into the website and see the detailed these schemes. And if you have any doubts, you can always contact our ministry. The contact details are also given in the website. So with this, I conclude. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think so it was very instructive that there are different Government of India schemes which provide one or the other kind of financial support, sometimes in grants, sometimes in subsidies, sometimes as loans, covering, I think so, more or less the complete innovation chain until the manufacturing stage. Given that account, I think so, it will be very befitting to call up the Mr. Binil Matthew, from Senior Investment Specialist from Invest India, to take us forward from there.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to all the panelists, and thank you, Dr. Amit, for the introduction. It's quite astounding and honestly such a great measure of the startup ecosystem in the country that now we are not saying that we need startups who are working in clean tech or waste management. We are saying now you need to be the newest innovation possible, that we have reached the extent that we now have 100 innovations who are working across 10 different subsectors, and we now need you to go ahead and innovate even further. And that's a testament to the work that has been done over the last few years, not only by the innovators, but by the ecosystem as a whole. Over the last 6 years, what we have seen is that the startup ecosystem has grown to have over 78,000 startups in the country. We now have funding which flows into the country every year, which just ups the ante every year. Every year, the funding that is flowing into the country is higher than it flew in last year. We have seen the number of unicorns who have risen in the country being the highest that we have seen till date, to the point that we are now competing with economies which were starting in the field way before us. But what it also brings us to the idea is that innovation in India was not something which was completely new. It was something that was always there. It's just that the extensive government support and machinery that was spent behind it has increased manifold in the last few years. The Startup India initiative, which was launched in 2016, was launched with this mission itself, that we need to help the startup ecosystem in our country become the people who will be job creators, who will go ahead and be the change makers, and who will find solutions not only on a global scale, but also for localized problems for which we understand the context. The Startup India initiative in the last 6 years has gone ahead and worked with the ecosystem partners across multiple, I would say, verticals. We have gone ahead and seen how from just 400 startups in 2016, as the presenter was saying, we now have 78,000 startups who are now registered in the country. We now have VC funds who are, as of 2021, putting in 600 million US dollars into the clean tech space itself. And that is a massive improvement from the less than 20 million that was put in 2016. And when we look at the overall numbers, what we see is that the growth of the ecosystem in India has not been singular in terms of just the growth of SaaS or just the growth of a few D2C startups. What it has had a multiplier effect on the whole ecosystem in itself. Because as more and more funds have been able to put money into technology startups, whether it be SaaS startups, whether it be D2C startups, it has also allowed them to set up impact funds. It has also allowed them to earmark certain funds which can be set up for different revenue making models, but also models which are going ahead and solving challenges which we know will be revenue making in the future. There are startups who started working out in the air pollution space a few years ago who would not have seen viability, but because they've persisted in the last 2-3 years through these impact funds, are now not only seeing viability, but are also going ahead and raising millions of dollars from VCs across the world. And that's a kind of ecosystem shift that funding does bring to the paradigm, but also something that we go ahead and mutually build on. Like one of the key schemes, say for example, that the government of India launched through the Startup India initiative was the seed fund scheme, where the focus was on going ahead and having early stage startup, because we noticed that over 60% of the startup fall through in the early stage. In the initial 2 years, it's called the valley of death, because you don't get the resources to go ahead and build your prototypes. You are not able to build your market access. You're not able to go ahead and get your market fit product, because by the time you build your business and build your market fit and go to the customers and raise money, by that point of time, a lot of capital is expended. And for that, the seed fund scheme, which was launched in 2021, has already gone ahead and worked with over 500 startups, over 100 incubators, in going ahead and providing them two kinds of benefits. The first is a grant that is being provided to startups up to 20 lakh rupees. And this is specifically focused on startups in the early growth stage, startups who are less than 2 years old. And the reason for that is that these startups are the ones who need nurturing over the next few years, because you will have a lot of VC funding flowing into growth stage startups or into startups who have built their market fit, but who the focus being on early stage startups helps you nurture an ecosystem which tells them that it's okay for them to innovate and constantly innovate and go ahead and build product which will have larger impact. The second kind of funding that the seed fund scheme provides is up to 50 lakh rupees, which is given as a debt instrument or debenture fund. And what this also provides is it goes ahead and focuses specifically on those early stage startups who are looking at expanding into the market, who have built their prototype and are looking at further R&D to go ahead and expand what their reach is, what their product is, or look at more innovation in it. And what the whole ecosystem now looks forward to is not just that we are going ahead and looking at how is it that our impact in terms of revenue is, but what is the overall impact we are going ahead and seeing on green impact. How is it that we are aligning ourselves to national policies, whether it be what India's commitments to the Paris Accords is, what is India's new green policy, what are the climate action policies that we are going ahead and discussing every day. And the kind of shift that this propels is because of the fact that the startups that continuously work in these ecosystems are not only working on the larger issues, they're also working on smaller issues which are very community based. They are working, going ahead, looking at how is it that at a very district level, solid waste management can be done. How is it at a district level you can incentivize people to go ahead and ensure that air pollution management is done in their circumstances, in their surroundings? How is it that you go ahead and incentivize industries in that area to go ahead and look at carbon credits in a new manner? There are startups which are looking at allowing allowing individuals to go ahead and trade their carbon credits towards charities that they want to fund, towards going ahead and allowing them to raise money for different institutions that they want. And this innovation that comes into what is it that we understand as clean tech? How is it that we are building not only hardware technology solutions and software solutions which look at their management, or as somebody was saying on the panel before that, how is it that you're controlling air pollution at the source itself? But also how is it that individualized action can be incentivized, and that can lead to a further, I would say, domino effect on people being more sensitized to why this is important. The fact that the single-use plastic ban now is something that we are discussing and we have a huge expo around it comes from the fact that a lot more people do want to discuss it. A lot more people do see an incentive in going ahead and engaging with these startups. And as long as funders come together and as state governments, as central government bodies, and different funding organizations go ahead and keep incentivizing this, whether it be startups who are looking at a localized scale or startups who are creating, going ahead and picking up millions of funding from different funding ventures, I think it is an effort that we are making, and over the next 5 years, that will see India become one of the global leaders in climate tech, and that is an ascent that we have already started. And it is in this regard that there are two more things that the Startup India initiative has been doing and different government bodies also have been doing. As somebody was mentioning right now about AFD and the work that AFD has been doing in France, with Mahua and AFD, there was a challenge which was recently launched for which 30 winners have been identified and who will be, startups have been identified and who will be felicitated and supported in different ways. But what different government bodies are also doing is, you can give them direct funding in terms of grants, you can give them funding in terms of equities. You can also incentivize them to innovate for certain problems and specifically support them in developing that solution further with incubation support for a year while giving them certain funding money which will help them also run their operations. That's something that the Startup India initiative is doing through the Swachhta Bharat Challenge with Mahua, or that's something that we already did also in 2019 with Swachh Bharat Challenge that we did run, and where we focused on going ahead and ensuring that a lot of the startups working in the space are able to find specific solutions to the specific problem statements that were posed. So the kind of ecosystem where we are seeing government initiatives going ahead and giving funding to these startups, focusing a lot more on clean tech, giving them opportunities in international engagements, giving them opportunities in forums where international partners are coming together. B, where we are seeing funds come up actively in India which are focusing on climate change, which are looking at impact funding, which are looking at sustainable funding, which are also looking at venture and PE funding into these startups because they can go ahead and raise revenue and be profitable in the longer run. And third, also in terms of government programs specifically, which are targeting specific solutions that they want to specific problems, providing incubation support along with funding support for operations are the ways I think that, and we do believe that the startup ecosystem in the country will continue to grow and funding will continue to play a very pivotal part in this.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think so you gave a very broad overview of the Startup India mission and the objectives or the activities which you can do there. But particularly, I think so the music to the ears of many of these startups, if they are sitting here, is the seed scheme you have talked about. And of course, that if they are aligned with government policies, the national policy, they may get some kind of an additional benefit. Giving that overview from the government side, I think so now we move into the more difficult aspect of funding and finances, is that we move over to the bankers. And I would request one of the senior most bankers present with us is Mr. T. Venkatakrishna, the Chief General Manager of NABARD, to open and talk about the way we can, the startups can access funding from the banking sector. Up to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for identifying the topic where the financing of the startups is also included as one of the items for discussions or agenda items for discussion for this 2 days meeting. Yesterday in the inaugural session, even the students were also associated, which also holds a lot of promise because we need to work for them. And associating them in yesterday's meeting is also given a very good sign. Coming to the topic which has been given for discussion, from NABARD side, what is that our contribution for the startups as well as for the other two topics, the Ministry of Environment and Forest. At a macro level, we support, NABARD supports the government programs, maybe for the forest regeneration. And towards the climate change, NABARD is also the national implementing agency for supporting various grant-based programs, could be from a National Adaptation Fund for the financing the climate change and Fund for Climate Change, and also Green Climate Fund and Adaptation Fund. After that, our support for the startups as the incubation center, Tamil Nadu Incubation Center mission that director was mentioning, we too have set up an agri incubation forum in Madurai along with the support of Tamil Nadu Agriculture University. It started about 4 to 4.5 years before. It started in Madurai, their college, agricultural college, and almost about 150 plus startups have been incubated from that center in the last 4 years. It also connected almost 300 to 350 farmer producer organizations also, where they're mentoring of their ideas, incubating them, providing them marketing solutions, and given them the common machinery also. As one of the speakers was mentioning, in the initial stages, it is difficult. You will be spending a lot of your capital in arranging for the machinery. So common machinery is also provided in that particular Madurai Agri Incubation Forum, whereby all these incubators have got the different types of support and services from the MABIF, that is what we call them. And they also ventured into intellectual property rights, and because they got a supporting some funding from MSME Ministry. And they also work on the GI, that is geographical indications also. And they do conduct a buyer-sellers meet, because once you want to scale up your operations, you need to conduct that type of services. After doing that, we even added up catalytic capital, whereby the funding also can be given for the incubators, and about 8 to 10 members have also got the benefit, and some more are in the pipeline. This type of incubation centers, there are about 7 are there in all over the country, funded by NABARD, and since most of the participants are from the different parts of the country, if you have the startup wants to get their idea incubated and take it forward, then they can take the services of these institutions, which are started with a collaboration with other agriculture universities. Then some other supporting features which we added, it may not be exactly called as a startup, to see that we need to provide alternatives for the single-use plastic. What we have done is some of the training programs we had put this as our objective, whereby the naturally available resources or material is made use for replacing the plastic or working out as an alternative for the plastic. Yesterday, I was in the inaugural session where they were showing a film of taking out the banana fiber, which can be used for the cloth purposes. So we have some groups of persons or aggregators, or we call them as off-farm producer companies, which are being promoted by NABARD. They do work on this type of banana fiber. Somebody works on jute, somebody works on the banana bark or the coconut bark or the other betel nut, the bark on which they take out their cups or the ice cream cups or the different types of saucers which can be replaced for the purpose of the plastic. In the MABIF, I was just seeing them. They have a milk bottling plant, in the sense instead of milk being supplied in the pouches, they made it a point to supply through the bottles, which also again replaces the milk sachets to some extent. These are the some of the initiatives from our side. And whenever we discuss about the private sector lending as well as the support for the MSME sector, the funding of the startups is always discussed in all the meetings at the state level and also at the district level. And the banks, they take the project reports as well as wherever the funding is possible, they do come forward to lend for these units which are called startups. And in the last 2-3 years, a lot of startups have come up, and the banks are also must be interested to lend for these startups because they can provide new business, and also it helps them to spread or diversify their private sector investments. We continue to do the efforts of emphasizing on the bankers and also requesting them to support the startups in all the meetings so that it helps the funding of these startups. So with these words, I thank the organizers for giving us an opportunity to express our views on the startups and the funding, and also the eco alternatives for the single-use plastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Many of the eco alternatives which we are discussing here are coming out of agricultural plant-based materials. I think so many of those would be interested in utilizing the incubation centers and your network in accessing financing. After this, I would like to call Mr. Ranburaj, Deputy General Manager from the Small Industries Development Bank of India, to talk about in a more this thing about how SIDBI is providing support to the startups.
Yeah, good evening to all present here. So I will just touch upon what is SIDBI and what are the areas which we cover. Okay, SIDBI, if you see, it was established in 1990 under an Act of Parliament, Small Industries Development Bank of India. So we have completed 30 years. So the main objective of SIDBI, if you see, it is promotion, development, and finance. So finance comes at the third part. First is the promotion, promoting the entrepreneur and developing the entrepreneur, and then the finance. So SIDBI is in all three what you call major activities. Those are the mandatory objective of SIDBI. So promotional development activity, if you see, we promote a lot of what you call entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs to come to take up their businesses those kind of things. For example, if you see we are doing some capacity building projects, so wherein the students have been educated how to start up a entrepreneur, how to become an entrepreneur, what are the areas available for you to succeed. So many things we are just doing through this promotion and development activity. Also, then one more major thing, if you see, there are micro enterprises who know how to develop their product, but there will not be they will not be having a pakka, what you call the credit, we just do the matchmaking kind of thing, like where is the credit connect as well as the market connect. So these are two concepts we inculcate with them, like how to get credit and how to market their products. These things we would be doing it. The major area of financing, if you see, we do two type of financing. One is the direct finance and the indirect finance. So indirect finance is nothing but, if you see, we are funding to all major banks, NBFCs and MFIs, and to in turn they will be financing the MSMEs. Direct finance, of course, we do directly to the micro, small and medium enterprises. So under direct finance, if you see, as the exposed concept says, like cleaner production and the startups. So first I cover up on the cleaner production part. So SIDBI always it gives more thrust for cleaner production and investment in what you call technology upgradation products kind of thing. So for example, now if recently we have launched one scheme like end-to-end energy efficiency, wherein what is the benefit? The benefit will be huge, in fact. The interest rates you will not get, it's an unimaginable interest rates. We are giving it 6.5 for investment in plant and machinery which is energy efficient. So almost all plant and machineries will qualify for that. Wherever PLC based machineries, CNC machines, all machineries will be eligible. So, and the second part is the startups. A startup, we have a separate vertical within SIDBI to take care of the startups. We have a fund of fund. We invest in alternate investment funds, and in turn they will be investing in the MSMEs, startups, MSME startups. This is how we basically do. In the cleaner production area, if you see, we are giving more thrust on waste management. We are giving thrust on solar investments and other major areas. So the basic thing, if you see SIDBI, the entire sphere of activities of SIDBI, if you see, we are in all role of MSMEs, like from startup, then to the financing, then to, if you see, guarantee. So SIDBI and Ministry of MSME floated CGTMSE. Of course, our MSME department he has touched upon. I'll just tell you the latest development under that CGTMSE. So CGTMSE is nothing but it is a guarantee program run by SIDBI along with the Ministry of MSME, wherein up to 2 crore you can avail without collateral security. So initially, if you see, if you are a startup, okay, now you have got some equity investment, some seed capital investment you got. Tomorrow you wanted to scale up. Without that, you will not be able to do. You will not get full 100% equity from anyone. So that time what will happen, this CGTMS scheme will come into play. So under this, you see, earlier without any surety or third party guarantee or collateral, you will not be able to avail loan. So to overcome this issue, this CGTMS is come into play. So up to 2 crore now you can avail under CGTMS, wherein no third party guarantees are required or collaterals are required. And this CGTMS so will help you. And one more, the major change, latest development is that earlier under CGTMSE maximum 2 crore only you can avail. Now it has been made as a limit. So for example, 2 crore you have availed and now you are already prepaid some 1 crore rupee. So now still you can go for another 2 crore, another 1 crore. The balance gap you will be getting. Maximum limit at any point of time cannot cross 2 crore. And the second thing is okay, you have started the business. Now it will be, next issue will be the capital investment. Capital investment should be direct finance schemes are available. Lot of schemes we have launched. Of late, if you see, many new schemes we have launched without collateral. Even up to 5 crore we give loan without any collateral also. So how it operates, you see, we take whatever contribution you are making. There is, in any loan component, there will be a promoter contribution and the loan component. So the promoter contribution which you are bringing in, that will be kept as a fixed deposit, this should be, and we fund 100%. So with that, the collateral requirement is nullified. So these are the schemes we have launched. And the second, next major challenge for MSMEs will be the receivables. So if you see today you are supplying to the purchaser, MSME is supplying to the purchaser, and the receipt, you will get the money after maybe some 60 days, 90 days, or sometimes even more than 90 days also. So to overcome that issue, SIDBI along with NSE have floated RxIL, where it's a receivable exchange which is being operated on Trades platform. So wherein if you are supplying to a purchaser, you can immediately upload the bill and you can get discounted the bill and you get the amount immediately. So the major benefit of going into the Trades platform is the interest rate. The interest rate will be very, very competitive because this is an auction system available in the system wherein multiple banks will be choosing your bill and they will be offering the rates, the best rate you can get under the platform. So similarly, SIDBI is also into other various areas like rating agency, let it be rating agency. We have a QA rating agency. We have a separate venture capital institution basically. It's an entity. We have floated SIDBI Venture Capital Limited, which takes care of all venture capitals. And if you see all in the entire sphere of MSMEs, SIDBI's presence is there. Anyhow, just I have given an introduction. Any clarification, we can go on into the subsequent sessions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think so. You have covered much of the ground on how financing is being handled at SIDBI. Promotion, development aspects we have covered. You have also talked about how there are certain schemes under which financing is provided without collaterals, and then also talked about how receivables can be managed. I think so many of the startups who were talking about these issues in the morning can then engage with you in a more detailed manner. May I now request Mr. R. Viswesaran, General Manager from Union Bank of India, sir.
Thank you, sir. Happy evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity for giving a chance to even commercial bankers like Union Bank of India to come and present our case in front of this forum. Like you can see, like in the course of this discussion itself, there is a pattern into which we have been called for discussion. Exactly the same way we come a bit much higher behind in the curve in terms of financing. The commercial banks like us, Union Bank of India, is that when you come with an innovation and at the time of innovation, then you incubate your idea or you take it to the where it can be, some design can be done, and when after the design, when you think that there is a scalable business model that can be brought in, up to this point of time, still you need finance, you need funds, and that's where the early part of the discussion, like when Mr. Shivraj was talking or Mr. Ramakrishna was talking, they were able to come and fund. That can be in form of grants or incentives from government or equity funding also, either in terms of venture capital, what you were speaking, angel investors in some cases, and even private equity investors. But when you think that there is a viable business model available, there is a scalability that is available, and where you want to actually take your innovated product into the bigger scale, bigger level, that's when we come into picture. Banks like us, Union Bank of India, State Bank of India, and Canara Bank, where we will be able to come in and take you to the next level. And those can be again, there are multiple phases starting there. The first phase can be the initial loan you want to take, either that can be covered by the PMEGP loan or the CGTMSE loan that was spoken. And also loans like some specific loans we have in our own bank, like we have a Union Startup loan, where up to 5 crore loan is available for startups who have already established, who have some track record, where they are able to prove that they have done something they have established for 3, 4, 5 years, and they think they will be able to go to the next level. But doesn't stop there. Then actually you need to go where you will have to have a project where you think big scales, and where you think that you will be able to make a bigger influence on the immediate small locality you're working in. At that point of time, that's where the financial of loan you need to take as a proportion or a multiple of the equity that is available. Typically, you say that any banker would be happy to give it 3 times, give or take, depending upon the type of industry you are in. For a startup to come from there to this might take a lot of time. There are startups who have reached there in 2 years, somebody has taken 8 years. Depending upon the level of maturity, the level of quickly you are able to come through the curve is there. But the point is, this is the place you will be able to go to the next level when you come to bankers like it. And once the scalability is established, once you are able to understand the difference between the equity and the loan, then you will be able to take advantage of the loan products that is available. And it's only just an entrance. Sometimes we think that funding is all about loan or equity. There is more to it. More to it, like our friend was just telling about the receivable finance or the trade finance, what you can get when you're trying to export some your own products or import machinery. And also more than that, there are other financial leverages that is available for everybody to take full advantage of your innovation so that you are able to reap the benefit of taking it to the next level. At that point of time, you can be rest assured, we will be able to bring in all the products. The idea that needs to be brought in is, it will take time to reach here. Like at the very starting itself, when Shivaraja sir was telling, you need to give the seed to grow to a sapling to plant. It's not going to happen in an urgency, but once you are there, it's only a matter of time that small plant will become a big tree, and we are there collectively as commercial banks to support you from there to wherever your sky is the limit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, on basically explaining the time when innovators and startups will become commercially viable to take up big loans and other financial transactions. I would now request Mr. Shams Tabriz, Deputy General Manager SME from State Bank of India. Sir.
Good evening, everybody. And good evening to all of the panelists who are on the dais. And thanking to the organizer for this opportunity. So all the bankers have told I would like to have a different perspective. Funding to startups, the bank do have a role, but beyond that there are other markets also. The startups should explore. There are funds like seed capital, then angel investor, then venture capital funding, then ultimately goes to IPO. Now I remember there was a time when the bank was nationalized. And what was the reason behind that? The reason was that funding. The funding was challenged at that time also. Funding is challenged now also. So at that time what happens, nationalization took place and the challenge was to how to fund the assets, how to fund the activity. So at that time the committees came, the Tandon committee, the Nayak committee, and then Industrial Revolution was thought of to fund the manufacturing activity, small scale industries. That was the need of the time. So now our country has overcome of all those things. We have got enough, we see that the issue is the scarcity of food is not there. The abundance resources are there. So now this time is come for the startup. So moving beyond the industrial revolution, it is a new revolution. And I see that in the new revolution, the warriors are the young generations. And it is more and above and beyond the entrepreneurs. So at that time, when the Nayak committee, the Tandon committee, banks are generally used to fund the assets. They look for the assets. But this time is funding of ideas. Now, as a public sector bank, let me tell you very frankly, it is a risky provision for the bank. Why? Because bank accepts money, the deposits from the depositors, with a guarantee to return them with higher returns. And a startup is a very risky venture. We have seen that. But we have also seen that many startups have grown exponentially. Many have become a unicorn also. I have just I was visiting, made some visit to IIT Park, the research park. And I saw that the immense changes are taking place. The new generation, the new ideas, the new thoughts. And the startups are basically innovators are bringing the solutions, bringing convenience to the life of the human being.
Like here, the theme is about the, what you call, environment issues and the pollution issues. This is one area. There are other areas also the people are working. So my only, I just want to touch something, many of young generations are setting up their startups, they have ideas. But they should not miss some of the things, which I want to bring to your facts. The first thing is that everybody should get registered with two important institutions, which we are finding, although the MSMEs or the manufacturing or the entrepreneurs are working. One is Udyam registration. That is a very important thing. Government is coming up with the incentives. Government is promoting that. We see there are something around 6.3 crores of MSMEs, but the registration with Udyam registration is very few. So what is the reason we don't understand? But all the bankers, even the various institutions, MSME department, District Industries Corporation, all are coming forward to support. So every entrepreneur need to register with the Udyam registration. Second is that registration with the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT. And for getting eligible for funding, one thing is important as per the Government of India guidelines also. Every startup should go for the incubations to get the support. So their ideas should be supported and it should be tested. Now, when the ideas come, as I said, seed funding are there, angel funding are there. Seeds funding basically coming from your own family members, the supports. So there is a cycle of the funding. It starts from the very beginning, initial stages of funding. And when the bank enters, as one of the bankers has said, that when you are stabilized, when the cash flow starts generating, at that time you need funds because that's the expansion time. And there the banks is ready to fund you. The only thing banks see that the bank tests the passion. Bank tests how serious as an entrepreneur you are. Because both are taking risk. You are taking risk, bank is also taking risk. You must be aware about that. So government is supporting also. When the government came with the idea of the Startup India, so we have got immense potential, the new generation, the new ideas, and this is taking the country. I say that there was a time of GDP growth of single digit. Now it is with the startup, the time has come for the double digit growth, and it's not impossible. It is very easy, and we are seeing it. So the recognized startups can enjoy lots of benefits, even the incentives, the tax incentives, and the government has said that they have fixed a turnover up to 100 crores. They should not reach up to 100 crores. They are eligible for the startups, and all type of constitutions can be there. We in State Bank of India has launched a product called MSME Udan, where the funding is provided up to 50 crores. This is in line with the Government of India or RBI guidelines of the recognizing the funding to startups under the priority sector lending. So State Bank has launched this scheme. The repayment, loan repayment can be up to 10 years. And even moratorium has been considered up to maximum 3 years. So enough time is there. And the special concession to the women beneficiary has been also been given in the interest rate. And basically, what are the needs of the startups? They are, as discussed, prototype creation, product, website, app development. These are the various requirements: team hiring, legal and consulting services, raw material and equipments, licenses and certification, marketing and sales, purchase leasing of office space, and administrative expenses. So these are the important element that is required. We understand as a banker, and as already has been said that there are two main elements, the receivables, that are also considered for funding. So you generate receivables, and there are issues of payment of salaries and the basic expenses, because the new generation, they have come up,
they need fund and they have to run it. So bank is always there, as already discussed, that CGTMSC scheme there up to 2 crores without collateral security. Then there are Mudra schemes up to 10 lakhs for the small beginners. There are many startups who are working at the micro level, and that they are also doing wonder. So without any collateral, 10 lakhs Mudra. Then MSME DI is also supporting in collaboration with the banks in supporting the patenting and all. So there are immense opportunities. One thing also I'll suggest that all the startups who are starting there, first open a current account with any bank. Why I tell you? Because this creates a track record for you. Whatever the cash flows coming in from any sources, from seed capital or from venture capital or from crowdfunding, this is creating a track record. This is showing your credibility. This is showing the credit worthiness. And many product in all the banks, I see analytics-based product is coming. In State Bank of India also, if somebody has got a track record of maintaining a current account, so there is a pre-approved business loan up to 20 lakhs. Automatically, you'll be sent a message that you are eligible and simple documentation, no collateral. So those who are having a current account, they can see that these opportunities are available. And maintain account and route all the transactions through one bank so that your record is created, and this will make you eligible for higher amount of loan in future. Not only loan, any type of tie-up, any type of collaboration, moving out of the country, becoming a global player, the bank is very important. So please take care of all those things, all the requirements of the, and I wish all the best to all the startups who are coming up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the many practical advices which we have given, starting from registration in Udyam and with DPIIT, having some kind of an incubation support in early stages, also just now what you talked about, opening a current account, and of course developing a cycle of funding. With this, I would request Mr. P.D. Sharma, Deputy General Manager from Canara Bank, to give his remarks, please.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm very happy to be a part of this program being organized by the sponsors. And as a part of our today's program, the bankers are also given an important role in financing MSME units with more focus on startups and stand-up India units also. So we believe the bankers have a very important role in financing the startups and improve the MSME portfolio to enable the government of, to enable the entrepreneurs to take up new activities and to ensure that MSME growth happens in our country to a large extent. So I believe that the Government of India and the Ministry of MSME is also giving a lot of significance to the startups, and this ecosystem has already taken a lot of significance in the last few years, and the bankers have also played a very important role in improving the startup promotions, and India is the third largest ecosystem, having extended more finance, more units when compared to US and China. So I believe that bankers will be able to continue their support in the next few years also to ensure that maximum growth happens under this MSME, more focus on startups. And to the upcoming startup entrepreneurs, we feel that there is certain requirement to be complied with before going for a finance with any nationalized bank or any financial institution. First, you should have the DPIIT registration, and your certificate of incorporation should not be more than 10 years of existence, and your turnover also should not be more than 100 crores, and you should have an innovative idea and with feel to improve your quality of products and services with a underlying scalable business model, having great extent for employment generation, and high potential products. So like this, if any entrepreneurs are coming forward to get finance, our bank is always ready to extend the finance. We have the tailor-made schemes at various levels, and we have also fixed up to 50 crores under these startup schemes as a cap under MSME for financing startups. So our Canara Bank has also stood in the #1 position in the last year in promoting MSME PM, particularly under PMEGP skip, and in the recently held one program also, our Canara Bank has received the #1 position in the PMEGP financing. So I'm proud of being a part of our bank, and we strongly believe in promotion of the MSME development, and we are sure that we'll be able to extend the best support to all our MSME entrepreneurs, and particularly to these startups in the future. And we also expect that all other bankers also will come in line, fall in line to extend the finance to these startups. Thank you very much for the organizers and for the nice audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the encouraging words. I think so we can take 2 questions at least if there are startups here. Yes, sir. Please take your name and the institutions from where you belong to. Yeah, please. Is there a mic?
Can you?
Hello all. Myself Nitish. I am the founder of Varshia Eco Solutions Private Limited. It's a startup based from Kerala. And when we start company in 2020 and we start Tirunelveli. Now we want to have machinery and building. So we approach bank. Banks say without collateral not possible. We approach different impact fund for equity funding. Everybody liked our concept because it's a scalable model business, but they cannot fund for building and machineries, means capex funding. So this journey is going from last 6 months. Now we stopped near SIDBI Ventures, who assured some support to us. My question here is, if you see all the stalls here, 100 stalls, everybody having a tangible product to show you that this is an eco product. Now question here is, to make this product you need machines. And if you need more innovations to come into the market, you need more machines. And if the founders don't have the fund, like for we need 3 crores, it means we have to show a property of 5 crores to the bank to get a fund. If we don't have that kind of collateral, how we can bring a new product to the market? So we should approach like SBI said, we cannot support you for a CGTMSC. TIAC we approached, they said we cannot support you for CGTMSC. So we are really working around for this fundraise for last 6 months, and we are getting delayed getting into the market with our product. So I need an advice. This is a real situation I am sharing from the founder side.
Yeah, I think so. That reflects the feelings of many others who
Many
are not
founders,
many founders who are present here, and many
especially
of those
from the impact domain.
Exactly. So I should pose this question voluntarily to somebody or one of the bankers. Yeah, please, sir. I would like you to, sir, respond to the exact thing which he said.
Yeah, see, as I was telling you, when I was speaking also, there is a curve under which you need to understand. You need to understand where you form in the curve. Assuming that when you said that you have already found that you have designed it, and you say that there is a business model available. The point is you have decided you are going to go to the next level, but for that, let us understand how the banks function. From the bank's point of view, we lend it to a certain matured organizations at certain level. At a lower level, where like our Sriram sir was telling, CGTMSC cover is available, let's say up to 2 crore, and SIDBI is likely to support. So if you are in that bracket, you need to approach that institution. But the point is, there is a maturity in the curve that is going to take time. Suddenly, if you want to jump and come faster, it will be difficult for the person who is assessing the credit, and that is exactly what even our Shivraj sir was telling, that you need to have a right type of counseling to understand where you fit the bill. It's not that we don't fund 3 crores of proposals or 5 crore of proposals. We do funding in thousands, you must be aware. And it's not that whatever we do is always successful. There are failures, that's also aware. But the point is you need to understand as an entrepreneur where you fit in, and understanding that you need to go to the right type of institutions to get the funding. So in case somebody would like to add something.
Yeah, see, this is a typical case that as an angel investor, before I joined the government, and still I ran one of the angel investors in Tamil Nadu, in an angel investor network. So this is a very common problem. The thing is, like as sir said, the business model. So I think, I don't want to, elaborate it in a big way, but maybe one suggestion that I could give you is, that's, as you rightly said, the capex part, normally angel investors or VCs, they won't fund. When you go to the banker, they will ask for this collateral security. So what could be the solution then? So one is that, there are strategic investors among the angel investors. If your ask is just 3 crores. So even, we have done, 1 or 2 investments like that. As a network, we may not be asking for equity, like the typical way of venture funding we may not do. But, some of the investors individually or 2-3 people coming together, they can negotiate with you and maybe they will invest. In one case, I would like to say, share with you, a person with a very high net worth has invested some 30-40% of requirement of an entrepreneur like you. And he went to the banker, and with his credibility, he didn't give any collateral, but he's a very big businessman. With his personal track record, the bank funded the entrepreneur, and he has given a guarantee sign. So this kind of innovative strategic investment is also something you can explore to break what you are undergoing now. So I think, it's maybe, we can have a discussion offline, and I can suggest you some ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other question? Yeah. Yep.
Hello. So as an engineer, I have an idea. So how to approach the venture capitalists or the angel investors or bank to get the fundings or seed fundings? Because I have an idea and I have an implementation also how to get the product thing. But the main thing is like the issue with the seed amount, to how to build up the startup kind of thing, the idea, implementation idea.
So if you have an idea, see what domain you are in, and there are hundreds of incubation centers available. Say for example, IIT Madras, or everywhere there are hundreds of, you can Google it and go to the appropriate incubator center. That is the first point of contact. So they will guide you from there on.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a common man's question, though I don't have a commerce background or something. Sir, any entrepreneur, you know that he wants to come up in life. So he's spending his time, energy, and he's wasting a lot of his time, and he's also losing his age. So when he comes to a bank for some loan or something, we are not sure whether he'll be successful or not. And you are also trying to help him. And I think, I don't know from which bank, you are telling on the curve, after the curve you can scale up, you are telling. But to reach that scale itself, many of the entrepreneurs may not be successful. So my common man question is that you are giving loans even to the farmers. And when there is a failure of crop, you are giving a waiver to it. Why not you take such stand even for the entrepreneurs from the industrial side?
That's exactly what sir was telling about the loans that is available under PMEGP as well as CGTMSE loans, where the loans is covered up to 75% against what you are just talking about. That is the early part of the curve I was referring to. That's exactly what sir was also explaining, the various type of loan in terms of the PMEGP loan, where the first time you can take up to 50 lakhs or something. Then after that you have a cover. There is a subsidy also that is made available by the government. And there is a cover also that is available. So you will be able to take a combination of these. It's very difficult, as he was telling, to give a specific advice to you. But there is availability there. And that is exactly what you need to fit in rather than coming directly higher. So there is a possibility available, and the best case in our, as of today is there are multiple such options available with the government of government's MSME ministry website, as well as SIDBI, as well as NABARD. So they will be able to guide on those type. With regard to waiver, it's a completely different thing we are talking about now. Any loan, like when our State Bank friend was telling, any loan that we give, it belongs to the general public, the money we have taken. We have a responsibility to give back. That is the reason we say that it can't be waived per se. It needs to be either covered by either a guarantee from a central government like CGTMSE or some other private guarantee what our Shivraj sir was just referring to. So in case you want to add something, sir.
Also, just adding on to it, like I think what was mentioned earlier also, a lot of schemes already exist which will give it to you as a grant, which means that you are given that money to build up your venture, to build up the product market fit, and the incubator or the government agency, like say for example the seed fund scheme under the Startup India initiative, is not asking you for equity in exchange or is giving it to you as debt. The 20 lakh rupees is being given to you as a grant so that you can go ahead and build it up. And in addition to it, you also get tax exemption for the first 3 years of your venture, which goes ahead and ensures that even on the tax liability side for you, it goes down extensively. The IPR that you're filing for, it's either it's 80% rebated, and also it's a faster processing time. So the thing is that there are various schemes which go ahead and support the entrepreneurs on a multiple folds, and it's also, as someone was rightly talking about, that it's about identifying at the stage that you are in and who are the correct agencies to reach out at that stage. Because if you're trying to raise funding, say for example worth $50 million, then the Government of India schemes would not be the ones that you're looking at. You would be looking at private equity and venture capital funds. In the same way that when you're starting out, you will not be going towards venture capitalists, you will be going towards government schemes which come from the MSME department, which come from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, DPIIT, and which go ahead and support you in that initial stage through incubators like the seed fund scheme, or through direct grants that are given to you, even by other different departments like DBT, DST. So you have to identify that stage, you have to identify what kind of funding you need, and you have to identify the kind of other extensive support you will need, whether it be in IPR, whether it be tax incentives, or anything similar.
Can I ask just one question? Yeah, please, sir. Yeah.
In fact, I would like to add a dimension to the whole thing. I mean, with due regard to the banker's side and also the gentleman who had faced the issue for about over 6 months, and the pertinent question that sir asked, even though it was in layman's terms, especially in the morning session, we had a very important point being mentioned here. This eco-alternative and whatever the investment funding or the business model that we are talking about, everything should be seen not in the light of a regular MSME kind of arrangement that we are talking about. That is why I was also again and again talking about the social service component or element that is present inherently in this somewhere. But it is not that in entirety that we should waive off the collateral and give every business person whatever they ask for. That is very much understandable, as sir very rightly said. They also owe this thing to the public. So this is where some kind of that authenticated model that would come into play, some kind of an R&D and a stamp that they get. And also I would like to improvise upon the gentleman what he said. Now that there is a revision and a new carbon trading policy that Government of India is going to come up with some kind of credits, there are plastic credits already there. So if this kind of a tried and tested understanding and certification or authentication is given to the proposed business model, apparently that this is going to offset this kind of an emission or this is going to reduce pollution in this and this scale, or whatever, if it is about waste management, water purification and management. So if that stamping is there and some kind of funding mechanism could be developed upon which they can be given a free hand to go ahead and sanction some kind of capital support or otherwise business support in the ensuing process. I think that would actually be a win-win for both the sides. That is my submission. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please, sir. Please.
Yeah, there were some queries. Let me tell you very practical aspects from the banker because we have been doing the credit. The first important thing what I have been observing that you have the ideas, you have the assets. But what is missing is that how to project into the paper and the document. See, as a banker, it matters for the banker economics, the numbers, the mathematics. Okay, what will be your turnover? What will be your margin? These are the loan amount. These are the interest amount. What will be the cash accrual? So what I see whenever I receive an application, that comes with the project report. And those project report, I tell you, many of you spend lots of money relying on some consultant, paying heavily to those consultants, and they also put lots of efforts. But there is gap. When the bankers discuss with you, okay, this is your project report, these you have projections, the profit projections, sales projections, let's discuss. Let's understand how it is going to be realized. There we found the missing gaps. Then the entrepreneurs say, this has been prepared by chartered accountant. No, chartered accountant is not going to run the business. It is you who is going to run the business. And the bankers need to be satisfied. So you should not only be an entrepreneur, you should be also a financial expert. Because we have seen, many companies we have seen, I don't want to call the name, but I have seen one big entrepreneur, when he says that he does not bother about the cash flows. Long time back he has said that. And I have seen the company, the downfall of the company. See, cash flows, when we say the cash flows, that means what is the money going out, what is the money coming in, and what is my profit, how much I am going to save, how much I am going to pay the various stakeholders, even the employees, even the bankers, even the government, the taxes. So all we need to understand in complete sense if I am running the business. I am a financial consultant also, I am a producer also, I am a manufacturer also, and I should know the market also. Once you are fully aware about these things, I tell you, no bankers will reject the proposal. The bankers need confidence they want to see a confidence in you. That's it.
Yeah, so what I'll do is, I'll just summarize it without, you have one question, ma'am? Ma'am, the last one, we have to catch a flight. Please, ma'am. Mic thing.
So we have today discussed the financial, what kind of support can be provided to the startups. But in the plastic industry, there are two specific cases. One are the industries which are manufacturing single-use plastics. They have been closed, and they have to switch over to the alternatives. So that is one set of industries. And then we have the second set of industries which are coming up with alternatives. We don't have time for them. So they need to come up at a very expedited rate in the country. So do we have any special provisions for these two set of industries? That is what I wanted to know from the bankers.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a very pertinent question to ask and answer in this forum, especially being the last one, sir. There is a policy level obligation on the part of not only us, all the bankers, all the commercial bankers, which is somewhat like suggested or nudged by the RBI itself to nudge away from those industries which are on the phasing out, like what you said, and also those sunrise industries where we need to keep investing more. So the priorities are set, the limits are set accordingly, our risk weights are set accordingly so that we focus. Like as he said, we all look at numbers. When the risk weights are given in a certain way, it's being done. So at a policy level, this has been addressed, and every banker is been advised to go. It doesn't necessarily mean that an existing, say a factory which is doing a single-use plastic will not be given any funding tomorrow and it will be compelled to close. It's going to happen in a phased manner, but the trend has already started and we are in the right direction, I believe. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I would conclude by this. If some startups are sitting here or entrepreneurs are sitting here. Of course, the bankers have put forth their theories on cash flows, but I think so Startup India Mission also put their objectives forward, that there is a complete innovation chain which has to be followed. The only thing is you should identify your stage and identify the place from where you can source your funding. With that, I'll close, and I'll request Member Secretary, Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, to please come for presentation. Okay, we have a group photograph. So, sir, can you, all of them can please come forward? We'll have a... आप तो बिल्कुल डायनामिक हो गए सर. Sir, can you please come? We can have a picture. Sir, आप भी आ जाओ. Yeah, I would request the panelists to please be seated. We will be presenting the mementos now. MS sir, I would request you. So, may I request the presentation of memento to Mr. Shivaraja, the Chief Executive Officer of Tamil Nadu Startup and Innovation Mission. I would now request MS sir to present to Mr. T. Venkata Krishna, Chief General Manager of NABARD, sir. I would now request the presentation of memento to Mr. R. Visweswaran, General Manager, Union Bank of India. Chair, may I now request the presentation to be given to Mr. Sams Tabriz. I would now request the Chief Environmental Engineer, Dr. S. Selvan, to come forward for the presentation, please. I would request Mr. Anbu Raj to come forward for the presentation. I would request Mr. P.D. Sharma, Deputy General Manager from Canara Bank, sir. I would request Tyagarajan, sir, if he is here, from TNPCB. Yeah, Deputy. Yeah, please come. Please come, sir. Please come, sir. May I request Mr. Sriram Srinivasan, Chief Project Director, Tamil Nadu Green Climate Company, sir. May I request Mr. V. Ramakrishna, Deputy Director, sir. Thank you. May I request Mr. Binil Matthew to please come forward for the presentation. Sir, if you can just stay here. Sir, we have representative from Maharashtra Pollution Control Board. Yeah, please come. Sir, you can present, sir. I would request Chief Environmental Engineer Dr. S. Selvan again to come on stage to present certificates to the rapporteurs of Madras School of Economics who have covered all the technical sessions which have taken place since the opening of this program. May I ask the rapporteurs to come forward? Yeah, please come. Yeah, okay. So, Mr. Vivek Jadhav. Yeah. Mr. B. Ajay Krishna. Mr. Pritish. Mr. Pritish Balraj. Mr. Ronak Maheshwari. And Miss Selvi Salwa. With this, we have come to an end to the concluding session on the role of financial institutions in supporting the startup ecosystem. I thank all the panelists who are here. I thank all the participants who are sitting very patiently and listening to us. Thank you very much.
அவர்கிட்ட சொல்லிடுங்க சார் 1 minute ஜஸ்ட் எடுத்துக்கோங்க இது எடுத்துக்கோங்க நோ சார் ஜஸ்ட் ஆஸ்
Thank you, sir.
others.
You're leaving today or?
Today, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It was very good.
No, it was done very well. I must tell you, sir,